The only goal of the game from Darren Murphy, and a touch of déjà vu for the midfielder.
I scored the first goal in last season's Irish Cup run, so I was saying probably it'd be my day today, and thankfully it was. But it was a tough game out there. Linfield worked really hard, but I think just over 90 minutes we probably deserved to win the game.
All's done for Linfield this season.
I think everybody is well aware of the club that a line has been drawn in the sand. You know, we know where we're going in terms of how to address the situation, and my hope is that the players who have such ability, which they demonstrated so very well on Saturday, that they will continue to play to a consistently high level, and if they do that, then hopefully we'll climb up the table.
It was 2-2. David Larmer's cross did the damage, and Darren Murphy was in hand with the finish. And then
Pat McShane, as Linfield go in search of a winner. Little flick on! Did Larmer get the final touch? I think Ferguson's claiming it. Can you believe this for a comeback?
Ferguson goal put fourth place Linfield 2-1 up on Glenavon. But one of the best goals of the weekend from debut boy Brendan Markey gave Glenavon a share of the points.
Jane, Larmer. Still Larmer. He's done well, David Larmer. Back post is curling. Oh, he's in the top corner. I'm not sure he intended that, but whatever, it counts. It's 1-0. 28 minutes gone. Larmer, he twisted, he turned out on the flank. He did well to find the space. Was it a cross? He'll not be worrying about that. His 9th of the season.
Darren Murphy. There's a late challenge, but the referee plays on. Ferguson, here's Larmer. David Larmer holding it up. Ferguson chips it in. McCann is there, a little flick. The header. Larmer. 2-0. 2 minutes after the break, Larmer gets his second of the day. Patient build-up. Larmer was involved. Ferguson was involved. McCann then joined in, and eventually it fell to Larmer. 2-0.
Rain's long unbeaten run. Here's Jackie Fullerton.
Before kick-off, there was a presentation to Linfield skipper Noel Bailey to mark 700 games for the club, and his man-of-the-match performance inspired the Blues to a 2-0 win. Glenn Ferguson got there first. Then Colerane's 20-game unbeaten run was definitely ended when substitute Paul McKnight, only on for half a minute, made it 2-0.
This was a game which summed up Linfield's season. So much promise, so little end product. The Blues' cause wasn't helped by this yellow card tackle on Paul McKnight. When McKnight went down again a couple of minutes later, he was forced to leave the game on a stretcher. Chances were thin on the ground, and Oma goalkeeper Gavin Cullen was able to cope with anything which did come his way. But just after the break, the home side gave away a clear-cut penalty as Michael Galt was brought down. No protests from Oma as Glenn Ferguson stepped up to do the honours, but Cullen dived to his left and made an excellent save. And just to add to his misery, Ferguson was booked for this challenge less than 10 minutes later. And a couple of minutes after that, he saw his acrobatic effort on goal scrambled away at the last possible moment. While Linfield manager David Jeffrey was urging his men to force it home, David Larmer saw a header just dropping over the bar rather than under it. The game looked to be heading for a draw when Linfield took a throw-in with just over a minute left. Even when the ball was headed back, there seemed plenty of defenders to clear the danger, and yet somehow Andy Crawford squeaked through to unleash Oma's winner before heading off on a tour of the town. Even Roy McCready admitted his side had stolen the game, but it took another good save from Cullen to make sure they held on to it and set up a semi-final meeting with Coleraine. With new contracts due to be offered or refused at Windsor over the next few weeks, Chris Morgan picked a good time to remind his manager just how good his finishing can be. Even when lying flat on the ground, his reactions were still quick enough to produce Linfield's first goal after 12 minutes. From then on, it was one-way traffic as the Blues produced the kind of result which helped avenge 3 earlier defeats by Institute. Peter Thompson, a Northern Ireland Youth International, made it 2-0 on 18 minutes. And 12 minutes after that, it was Morgan again with a wonderful swivel and shot, which had quality written all over it. And it was 4-0 before the break, when Stuart King struck low and hard from a similar distance. If Institute hoped to get back into it after the break, they were sadly disappointed. 3 minutes after the restart, Morgan was fouled inside the area and duly completed his hat-trick with the confidence of a striker back to his best. A rare Oma attack soon afterwards brought a good save from Alan Manus, but the relief was purely temporary as the Blues went rampaging forward again and again were rewarded with a penalty. This time it was Pat McShane who completed the formalities. And just to rub salt in the Institute wounds, Peter Thompson's cross was thumped in by Mark Picking to complete the 7-0 rout. A good night for David Jeffrey, but Paul Hegarty will prefer to remember those 3 wins earlier in the season. This meaningless Big Two encounter attracted a much lower crowd than usual and provided few thrills for those who did turn up. Glentoran were on the back foot early on and survived a couple of good Linfield chances. On 18 minutes, Noel Bailey had a big claim for a penalty, but referee Herbie Barr, making his last Irish League appearance, waved play on. Glen's keeper Neil Armstrong was also making his farewell appearance, and he marked it with a good save from Mark Picking on 25 minutes. Linfield were eventually awarded a penalty when Picking was judged to have been impeded by Chris Pike. Pat McShane took the spot kick and Linfield went 1 up just before the break. In the second half, Alan Manus had to be sharp to keep the Glens out, while Armstrong was back in the action too, saving well from Chris Morgan. Michael Halliday has made a habit of scoring against Linfield in the past, and he popped up with a Glentoran equaliser with the help of a post with 12 minutes to go. Linfield had plenty of chances to win the game, but a disappointing draw seemed to sum up their trophyless season.